Holy shit, man. Holy shit. Holy shit, man. Holy shit. Alright. That sounds fine. Or, it's kind of quiet. That's so awesome. Okay. God damn. I can't believe it happened. We knew. We all knew. As soon as he announced. Oh my god. It's just. Man. How does it just get lower? How does the standard fall? How does one fall from grace to such a degree? I'd like to study this fall off, and I have been for the last fucking ever since it began, pretty much. Oh man, it's incredible what he's done here. It's truly a masterpiece. Oh man. I hope my number one hater comes in here. Mad, angry, frustrated. That would be really, really funny, and I'd actually have something to talk about. But, Jesus Christ. This has got to be one of the best days of my life. No, this is terrible. I was lying. This is just sad. It's hard to look at this. It's hard to see what's happened, what's falling off looks like to such an extreme degree. All right, I'm gonna kind of fucking run through this. I'm gonna try and run it smart style. Okay. What day did that? Did he tweet that? Let me pull this up. Let's see. April 12th. Was that Saturday? Or Sunday? 4 days ago. 4 days ago, iDubbbz announces a new content cop. Right? And with recency bias, I will say that's an accounting factor in here because I used to be a huge iDubbbz fan. Back in the heyday, back in the Filthy Frank, the Cancer Crew days, it was iDubbbz is king when he was doing good content cops, putting effort into them, and still funny before his balls were taken away from him forcibly. I loved it, but since then, it's just been a catastrophic downfall after catastrophic downfall. He hasn't had a moment to breathe, even a moment to even sit down and think. You'd imagine, because it's just been consistent. That's the impressive part, is just how consistently he's been falling. Like he's not moving at the same speed. He's consistently falling. It's an accelerating speed. It's not a straight line. And when he announces Content Cop coming back in 2025, you're only left to imagine one thing. How is he going to do it? How is he going to do it? How is he going to fuck this up yet again? How is he going to take this to the next level? And I've watched the video. I've already watched the whole thing. I watched it and listened to it while I was driving home from work, literally giddy with excitement, ready to come here and just be mean, just be downright nasty and gnarly for the next probably hour and a half to 2 hours. And you see an announcement like Content Cop in 2025, and you see a release date of 4/16. The first like I didn't even see the original tweet. I actually saw a reaction to it that had Sam Hyde's birthday next to it. That was my first introduction to this chapter. So I was convinced. I was like, okay, listen, there are some, you can hit Sam Hyde on some stuff right now. Like, he's not, I mean, it would have sucked if he just like Marky posted the whole time or did cringy stuff that everyone said, all of his haters at least have been saying for years. But I thought he could have gotten him on his sort of lazy clips or something. I don't know. But Sam Hyde's kind of been on a big upturn. Every day he's gotten one level higher since ever since the documentary. So I would have liked to see it just because I'm a fan of Sam Hyde now because of iDubbbz, and it would have been sick as hell. But obviously he would never do something that risky in the grand scheme of things, because Sam Hyde kind of already content copped him. He already reversed it on him, and it didn't end up well for him. So I can see why he didn't do that. But nobody who is like level 2 aware, nobody who has paid attention somewhat to H3 post content nuke would have thought that this would be on H3. Because it's kind of, there's no, like, well, I'll get into that, but it seemed silly. It seemed silly. AB's wife is in Creator Clash or whatever. H3 was mad at iDubbbz for a little bit because of the shit that's been going on post, but you wouldn't have thought that was going to happen. There was that 1% of me, that was like, this could be it. Every time there's like hype around iDubbbz, I'm still eagerly awaiting the comeback day, the day where we see something great finally grace our screens. Something that makes us go, it was all worth the wait. And unfortunately, we've been let down yet again. Unfortunately, today is not that day. But I don't think there's much else to say, but to get right on into it, because this, after my first watch through, I was skimming through it a little bit just now in preparation, remembering what I didn't like, and I'm ready. Let's get it.
Destination. The beach is surprisingly deep.
This opening is good. This is a classic Content Cop opening, and I like it. I liked the cinematography. I liked seeing some effort in it.
Accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group that anybody who says any fucking thing,
who thought this would have
they
happened?
will attempt to ruin their lives.
Who could have
And once
imagined?
again, I'm the crazy
This is
one.
like 9/11 almost. This is, if you told somebody from 2016 that this happened, this is 9/11. Who didn't cum their pants when they heard this song come back on? Man. This could have been it. This,
What's
dude,
up?
this moment, I was at work. I was at my job starting this video, and for real, my heart sank. My heart, like, my blood ran cold when it cuts to this. This was the greatest jump scare possible. I didn't even think this was within the realm of possibility.
What's up, everybody?
This is exactly like when Skydo's Minecraft's his baby mama was on that diss track against him, on that KSI diss track against Skydo's Minecraft. This is exactly like that. This is like evil shit. This is downright nefarious. You shouldn't be doing things like this. This is like debauchery.
I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's content nuke, and I'm not going to call it content.
And then this for real, for a moment there, I was like, oh, I saw it. I was like, what?
Text puke as I normally do because the reality of the matter is
I was falling for this. I was falling for this ruse at every step.
it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am a vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most importantly, Ethan is more attractive than me, both physically and also mentally. I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Evil. This is evil.
Wakey, wakey.
This is... Oh my god, dude. Seeing this is... You never would have thought this. I mean, in recent times, it was in the realm of possibility, but this is just... It's just wrong. It's gross. It's like parading the corpse of Content Cop around for some sort of parade. It's not right. If you're a religious man, you don't like to see this. Your heart kind of palpitates a little bit because it just feels wrong down to your core.
Ethan, wake up, Ethan, wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no
Yet another fucking Vine thud sound effect.
longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to
She is.
wake up.
Wake up.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up.
Dude, holy shit. Dude, for real? I saw... Oh my god.
Just telling you to
I haven't
wake
seen...
Wake up.
Wait, fuck. I haven't seen Frogan in a minute. Are you kidding me? This is what she's rocking with now? This is where we're at? The hate comments really got to her, man. This is fucked up.
What's up?
Wake up.
It's downright not right.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up.
Zooms anyone?
Just wake up.
It's just... Come on.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabramos.
Time to wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Ethan,
Wake up, Ethan.
wake up.
Wake up, Ethan. Just wake up.
The mask off moment. Ripping it to shreds. This is no Content Cop.
All right.
This is content. Gay content. He switched out of the police uniform and into his perfectly metrosexual, semi-ironically cowboy shirt. I don't even understand what's going on.
Right. I didn't plan on making a content cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3 content cop, iDubbbz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a content cop on Hassan Piker. Content cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot.
It is, though. It is. It is content gay. He's lost the plot completely. Dude, 2016 iDubbbz would have looked at this and like thrown up in his mouth. This is nothing even close to what it was. It's bastardized. It's rotten. It's been like dumped into a vat of radioactive goo.
It's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Alright guys, I'm going to tell you a story about Ethan Klein. I know some of you have been following him, but there's a lot of people who might not be familiar with the background, with his podcast, with what's been going on over the past couple of years. So Ethan, as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's fucked up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hassan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now, in his podcast with Hassan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers. You trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific...
I gotta preface, politics side, I literally don't care about the politics side. I'm purely vibe mode. I like H3 again after all these years where he was like hardcore doing all this politics stuff. I didn't really care. I didn't pay attention to it. I was like, whatever, he's gonna do his thing. But with the content nuke on Hassan, it brought me back. It felt so real. It felt so nice to see some good shit coming out of this like sector again, coming out of this blast from the past almost. Like you miss it. You miss it so bad. You don't even realize how bad things have truly got. How far the West has fallen without Content Cop, without Vape Nation, without like just good funny shit, and then you get something that just feels fun. That feels fun and dunks on someone in a creative and cool way, like the nuke did. And I didn't like Hassan before. I watched a lot of just like really, really mean shit about Hassan Piker for a while now, so I was perfectly primed for that H3 video. And to see this be where iDubbbz falls in this conflict is just it's depressing. It makes me buy rope and razors and stuff and just like look at them in the middle of the night. I stand over like a pile of rope and razors and think about the end.
Conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, the dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally is.
I was just eating the toppings, and the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of...
I didn't like that. This feels like a false comparison of a claim that just because somebody's not like actively covering something doesn't mean they're not following it in their personal time. Because obviously, Ethan didn't one day wake up and go, "I'm gonna be a political guy now." He in his free time, when he wasn't making comedic content, when he wasn't busy focusing on the funny aspect, he was obviously learning about these things and growing more passionate. So it's a false comparison to say that he's an idiot because he wasn't recording himself being knowledgeable about these situations while Hassan was. It's obviously Hassan is much more invested for much longer, but it doesn't disprove Ethan's like ability to have his own ideas on the situation. It just seems
and that's fine. You know, we don't
like a bad
expect
comparison.
Ethan to be an expert on the topic. Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli. She served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer. So this is something they're very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just like not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're gonna call it out.
From the river to the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye.
So this massive progressive audience that Ethan has, adopted over the years, they're becoming increasingly critical of his position because now he's talking about it.
This is a blunder they're all falling into too. This is not a solitude mistake that H3's made. Everybody who was cool 10 years ago saw a dip after the adpocalypse situation, like all of that, decided I got to do something that just gets money, and that was politics. And people, and they just got older and they thought that they had a voice that they should be using for something more important than being funny, but it wasn't there. It wasn't what they were meant to be doing. It was something that they just picked up and decided to do. It was. They probably shouldn't. H3 shouldn't have been in that sphere without like the proper preparation, but that's just the situation we're in.
Not on Leftovers. He's now talking about it on his podcast.
What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, crazy, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you guys.
The other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
So Ethan is having this back and forth with his liberal audience, leftist people online, progressive content creators, Hassan, all of these different people. He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb.
Frogan and Denims and all these dipshits. And everybody thinks this guy's awesome, apparently. Even though he looks like Millhouse. Fucking dork.
Denims, by the way, was the real villain of the video. Evil, hate.
I don't think... It's also kind of mischaracterizing, from what I understand, is Ethan's position, too, where he's not that far left. He's left-leaning, but he's not a leftist. He's not on that extreme level. That's why all these people that he's calling insane, he's just... It's like somebody who has one or two conservative values, like, still being able to criticize Trump. It's not like they all have to be on the same exact page. You can be on a team and still point out when your team is being retarded, is going too far, and saying shit that's not fucking reasonable. And it's all or nothing with these people. iDubbbz did the exact same thing as H3, but instead of putting his own opinions out there, he held out and decided to just go with whatever was the most safe option. And sure, you can criticize H3 for saying shit that's out of line or crazy, but he was at least being real, and you know exactly what he's thinking. Nobody has been able to predict what iDubbbz was thinking for the first 3 years of his shift, of his arc. It was so random. It happened out of nowhere, seemingly to the audience, because we didn't know. And that's the only reason iDubbbz feels like he still has legs to stand on, even though it's just not. It just feels disingenuous. It feels like he's just forcing it for for whoever he wants to be friends with.
Hateful fucking. And I'll say it and I'll double down on it. And people. Oh, no? Did I not go there?
And it's all culminated, at least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hassan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if
He needs to get some help. He needs some help. He needs to get some help. They've been saying this since their initial Ian and Anissa's initial reaction to H3 cutting ties. They've said is get therapy, and they're not offering anything of substance other than get help, and you should just shut up and side with the number one guy.
he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can like rekindle our friendship. So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hassan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like iDubbbz. He's a good guy, but I don't like this stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism, and also he's way out of my weight class.
I remember that tweet coming out. That tweet was like a nail in the coffin. I think that came out before the full falling out, and it was just like, oh no, like he's actually truly not going to take a side until he sees who the winner is.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there. I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan.
This part is honestly it feels like the most egregious part. There's parts of this video that do seem pretty on the nose with their criticisms. I think iDubbbz does hit the mark pretty decently on some of them, but this is a terrible... It's still like the opening remarks almost, and this is a bad start because he like openly misses the point.
He watched
and we'll get
Ethan's
to
content.
we'll get to that
He
as it
liked
goes
Ethan's
on.
content until he didn't like Ethan's content. There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, you know? Like, I'm not going to endorse it. I'm not going to retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
I guess I just missed my old friend. Some wings are too bird feathered colored.
Now that brings us to February 28th of this year. Now my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word.
Okay, I didn't read these tweets when I was first watching it, so I wanna just read them real quick. Hila Klein, how do you think you're morally above us all when you're just judging people based on where they're from? Okay, first of all, you have Gallant. Okay, I don't know that shit. Helgan is not a good guy. Palestinians don't learn to hate Jews at 2 years old, and you know all of that. You
Word.
Cunt. Who the... These pussy-ass motherfuckers need to stop censoring cunt. It's a funny word, and I like using it when I hate specific people. It's a good word for hatred.
Kill their dog with...
Just learned 2 years before Ethan's dog's death, some H3 fans voiced concerns for his chronic vomiting, pointing to kidney failure. Got shunned by other fans. Ethan declined the advice, stayed course.
and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that iDubbbz's former editor...
So he edited for Creator Clash 2. And that... Okay, it did seem like kind of a... When this first was going down, when all the sort of cataclysm of this was going down, it did seem kind of weak that it started over an editor. And I don't know if it needed to escalate to the point it did get to, but the point that iDubbbz misses here, which is so telling to how he's framing this and wanting to skirt around why specifically Ethan and Hila are done with him, like in particular, is because the outcry that Ethan was making for iDubbbz to say something was not because his editor was being mean. It's because his editor was being mean and CPS was fraudulently called to his house to interrogate his children. And when Ethan on stream was talking about why I don't understand why my friends of so many years didn't say anything about this, it wasn't just about the editor, it was about people that have been to his house and met his children who are willfully ignoring the harassment of his family outside of content, like his children and his home being invaded.
About him and Hila. But no one's asking the question, where...
And not one time in the rest of this video will Ian even let a clip that insinuates that situation play in full, because he completely goes around it and doesn't address the true crux of the argument, the true center point of why the anger is there towards specifically him and Anissa.
Where does Ethan get this information from? You see, it would be very obviously
he thinks people are dumb.
If Ethan was discovering this content by scrolling through Twitter looking for something to upset himself with. He has maybe set it up in such a way where his employees feel the need to send him this information, and that would be horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be sending you things that are entertaining for your show that don't fucking trigger the hell out of you. Why is there so much work being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit, when there's no work being put into who the fuck is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place? If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out. One of the users on the...
This is... Okay, this also seemed kind of... This is dumb. This is a small point, but it feels stupid to... instead of really trying to like delve deep on what's wrong here, he's like, why do you have to see this? You know, why you're okay, I get you're mad about this. I just wish you hadn't seen this thing that made you mad.
Snark Reddit points this
is the same guy that was reading every mean comment about his OnlyFans girlfriend back in like 2019 and made a whole video that like he basically bent over and showed everyone his raw asshole just begging to be pegged, and he's gonna get mad that Ethan saw a Reddit post on his Reddit. Like they've done the same thing in this situation.
This out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its history, and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. Like, this is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me. So yes, I am willing to admit that my former editor was being very nasty, uncharitable, and fucked up towards Ethan and Hila on Twitter. But Ethan and Hila are doing the same shit on their podcast. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
Terrorist supporter.
The CEO of Twitch.
Pedophile.
Now I'm going to watch and respond to the two podcast streams where Ethan and Hila call us spineless cowards.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's like a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on us Nissa's and iDubbbz's feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
You don't know what's on my feed. What the fuck is happening? For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know, I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not gonna throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not gonna throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
How many women?
The use of crash out to belittle every time Ethan is mad about a situation with Hassan or iDubbbz or any of them, it's like ingrained in their minds that they have to call it a crash out so that they can pin him as seeming unreasonable. And it's not it even if he is like boisterous and loud and extravagant with how he represents himself, I don't think any of it truly is like a crash out, because a crash out he'd be like, I mean, to somebody who's mild-mannered and not looking to be entertaining, it's a crash out. But to someone whose job it is to be loud and entertaining and funny, this is like, he's just doing what essentially comes with the job. Is he supposed to sit there and go and talk in a monotone voice and not react to anything, especially when it's something that he's using at I mean, when it comes down to it, it's work, and he's reacting and he's being loud and he's being crazy, and so he probably means it to a degree, but to call it a crash out when it's most definitely just like hamming it up to an extent, it's very obvious that it's just belittling like how deep down it is something that should be reacted to somewhat viscerally.
And I fucked. Hassan, by the way, thousands. Yeah, thousands. Let me ask Galia. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry. Oh my god. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex.
Watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait, how does he know I'm watching already?
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry.
There are many people, I'm sure, who have unfollowed you for the things that you've said and done, and I'm sure there are even more people who have stayed following you because they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't want to throw someone away because they've had some hard moments. We're all fucking human.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit. I'm spineless. I'm cowardly because
Yes, dude. You couldn't bring yourself to tweet, "Don't call CPS." Like, that's it. That's all you had to say in that situation, and you couldn't bring yourself to do it because you were so terrified of the possibility of one of your new boyfriend and girlfriend Hassan and Denims. Like, you couldn't even imagine saying something that tangentially goes against them.
I am following someone on Twitter
because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy.
I mean, I don't know what he's getting at here. Like, yeah, people are gaslighting you. A lot of people gaslit me when I apologized. That was actually like the #1 type of harassment I got, was people gaslighting me and taking my newfound woke ideology to its extreme.
I probably done and stood.
It's okay. People telling Ethan that he's acting crazy after being harassed in real life through CPS is not the same as people saying you fell off and you're being inconsistent with your prior statements with your content cops. Like, there's different levels to this. Like, people aren't gaslighting you, they're just they're disappointed. But it is gaslighting to say that you're acting crazy when you're reacting to real life harassment.
Stood by iDubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing, like, I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
I thought the text conversation that I had with him was very empathetic. I basically just said, like, I know you and Hila are experiencing a ton of harassment, and I essentially empathize with that, and I think there's something positive to get out of the conversation. But he refused to talk on the phone unless I was willing to publicly say something about my former editor and denims. As much as
This is he's not asking you to say something about them because he doesn't like what they're tweeting. He wants that something said because Denims directly, indirectly was supporting calling CPS on them. And you're actively friends with them, and you just recorded the opening of your content cop against Ethan with her. Like, it's like a nail in the coffin. You're showing your ass, buddy. You're showing exactly where you stand on this situation and what you truly believe.
you don't want halfway friends, I also don't want that kind of halfway friend. I don't want someone who's going to give me like an ultimatum to have a conversation.
Could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hassan actually wants to go to Israel, go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
You're trying to make a one-to-one comparison where there isn't one. This guy that I follow on Twitter is not in the same relationship as you and one of your current employees who is streaming with you 3 days a week, 3 hours a day for the past 10 years. At one point during the stream, Ethan and Hila bring up Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam does basically the same thing as my former editor. He's critical of Ethan and Hila, and he is sometimes uncharitable and nasty towards them.
Adam McIntyre needs to just like disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him like the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement too. I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything
And
like
I was
that.
supposed to be like cheering on, but I wasn't going to cheer that on. That's
Why
disgusting.
do we forget that he called her children, which is something we would never do, the spawn
Never.
of Satan?
It's disgusting.
I don't know about. I mean, this is pretty low tier criticism, but like making it seem like every statement where he puts the halo over the head was a direct, orchestrated, planned statement to make yourself like people are gonna put themselves in a decent light, like especially when they did the right thing in quotes, like they're gonna talk about it and they're gonna be vocal about how they felt in the moment and how they feel now.
And
a
I
piece
mean,
of shit of a human.
it's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
Unfortunately, they never made a statement. They never said that they disagree with his statements about Trisha's baby until it's useful. Like, what is it, 3 years later? Like, I mean, you're talking about it like you were aware of it at the time and that there was some amount of pressure.
But they weren't friends with Trisha at this point. They were already not on good terms with Trisha. Ethan and Ian are friends. Ethan gets harassed. Ethan expects his friend, who knows the harasser, to say something. Ethan's friend goes after somebody who he's not on good terms with, and it's not exactly the same. It's an okay point. It's just not the same.
Enthusiasm for you to get down with that. And what it sounds like to me is that you did see it at the time and you were like, ooh, I don't like that. And you didn't endorse it and you didn't fuck with it. Huh. It's almost like that is a fucking identical situation to me.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
So yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to like paint themselves as the good guys, and they're saying like, Yeah, we strongly disavow things that are said, even about our enemies. We are the most immoral people on the internet. Unlike Ian and Anissa, who are fucking keeping to themselves. Also, why the fuck does Olivia get the pass?
What a fucking asshole for putting you in that position, Olivia. You're friends with him. And you don't have to say anything, but like, what a fucking piece of shit. What a bad friend to put you in that position just for some fucking clout. It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit, okay? Olivia did not do anything. And
I want the pass? Do I have to be an employee to get that treatment? Because then you'll just see me as an ally? Or is it because Ethan is afraid of wrongful termination accusations and lawsuits?
And also, I don't mind putting my friend Olivia, who's apparently my real friend, in a terribly weird, fucking uncomfortable situation where you end up getting hate for no reason.
Also, don't frame it as like other people making it hard on Olivia. You're making it hard on all of these people. Please acknowledge your role in this whole fucking thing. Like, it's crazy how warm Ethan is to Olivia and saying how Olivia is essentially just a victim in this whole thing.
It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit.
But me and Anissa are spineless. Ethan, your whole system is scrambled. My intention isn't to throw the employees under the bus. Like, you guys serve as the fucking foundation for calling out Ethan's hypocrisy on the whole subject. And I know that you guys have probably pushed back against Ethan over the years. How often are you supposed to do that? Do you have to do that every fucking week? It kind of seems like. And that's exhausting. I don't want to confront my boss. It's not my fucking job to confront my boss and say, today's segment on rapists and pedophiles on Twitch was not like my favorite segment to be a part of.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times, cause like, why would I not? It was crazy.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, if that's truly what you believed and you weren't just going to use it later.
Of course I was going to stand by.
They did. They were being a good friend. If they were still... They act like something's changed between that time and now, when it seems like their relationship is on the same level of being sort of co-workers to an extent, but... Now that it's on the other foot, and H3 is the one who's receiving all this kind of bullshit. Now it shouldn't be an obligation. Now it shouldn't be an obligation. Not only should it not be an obligation, just because you did something out of the kindness of your heart does not mean that I am required to. And he's not required to, but it's courteous almost. It's just like good manners, good
But that's insane. It's absolutely
behavior.
insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me.
I'm not going to assume that Hila knows, but I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel. Choosing now...
this is another part where I'm just sitting here, I'm thinking like, the plot is completely lost. It's totally lost on him right now, because it's not... This is the problem that Ethan and Hila have with iDubbbz is not an Israel problem. That's the problem with Hassan. That's the problem with that general community. The problem directly with iDubbbz is the lack of defense in the very specific situation of CPS being called on his kids. Of for real fraudulent call that could have resulted in serious damage to his family. And it required one tweet. It didn't require you to like get on your hands and knees. You didn't need to beg and cry and scream and flip sides immediately. You just have to say, "Hey, I may not agree with Ethan on this entire situation, but don't call CPS on somebody just because you disagree with them."
Out of all the times to be like, please defend me. No, we're not gonna fucking defend you.
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Do we have that
I
one?
mean,
Like,
just the other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
No, it's not.
So yes, you caught us. We're not gonna run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anissa and I is when we're on Twitter, we do be following.
So,
The problem.
okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know, yeah,
Which I'll
she's
show.
friends with
Denims
Denim.
is actually participating in this whole child protective service lie.
Yeah,
Which I'll
and if
show you
you're
guys
friends with them, then you're seeing what they're saying.
There it is. There's the critical information that is completely missed in this whole thing that he's
If you
not
wanna hang
addressing
out with
even
those
once.
people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood
Blink
up for
and you'll
you,
miss it.
enjoy your new friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know, yeah,
Which I'll
she's
show.
friends with
Denims
Denim.
is actually participating in this whole child protective service lie.
That's the issue. That's the issue that you're completely dodging right here. That's the whole reason there's a problem in the first place is that you didn't disavow this problem. Who cares about all the other shit? It would be nobody would care. You wouldn't have even heard about the backlash from H3's community if there wasn't something this impactful to be angry about.
Yeah.
If it was truly a nothing bullshit, they're overreacting because they didn't like the content nuke, they didn't retweet the content nuke, this would have fallen flat on his face and nobody would care about it. But it's not about that.
If you're friends with
That's
them, then you're seeing
where
what they're saying.
nobody's
You'll notice
like
Ethan and Hila
nothing
start
in
talking
this
about Denims
holds
character.
substance.
Originally, the complaint was about my former editor. He's been chatting shit about Ethan and Hila for the past year at least. They only care about it now because I guess it was spoon-fed.
Because CPS was called, and now two people you know are actively supporting it.
To them via their Reddit that's clearly looking out for them. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, where we are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people?
Ian and Anissa are just hoping to get the collab with Denims. The OF collab, that's it.
People at their core. People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean. People can say things because they want internet
There's the
clout
crash
and
out narrative
attention.
again.
I don't know. I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way, where it's like, you know, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them, but separately. Yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not going to make you guys, like, meet up and kiss or anything. I get it. You guys are in fucking... You're either my best friend who's deep-throating me to the base of my cock, or you are Satan. You're the devil.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. She's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the conversation.
She never replied.
Ethan, you can't even phrase it in a way that doesn't make you sound like you're being coercive and shitty. Well, then, you should have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
It's insane framing. Insane to say he's being like an evil Bond villain because he wants you to say that your kids aren't in danger living with their parents. It's like the framing, the whole time watching this video is just was just completely misframed. He shifted the camera 80% off of the subject material of the video, and is poking holes in the tangential things, the things that every clip that he doesn't directly point out and mention CPS, that's where he's poking holes.
Does that sound like a friend? It kind of sounds like something a powerful villain would say.
But it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, "Oh, he doesn't work with us anymore."
Then
but that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't.
Okay. Do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends, though?
One of the reasons Anissa was so quick to clarify things in your Reddit is because your Reddit was already talking about who this editor is, and they were spreading misinformation that it...
Yeah, that's crazy. See, this is why you should not go on Reddit. This is why Reddit is an evil place. You should not go to Reddit for any sort of information. You can go there for to see witty remarks and to be completely embarrassed that you're even on that website. But you should not be going there for any sort of accurate, true information, because you're going to get bullshit like this where somebody just says something not true, and immediately people run with it because it gets 2 upvotes.
It was our co-host on our podcast, Uncle Dane. So yeah, the last thing we wanted is this guy getting pulled into this mess.
There's kind of a similar icon here. It does give me a little bit of reason to worry, but that's a joke.
And you guys don't give a fuck. Would it have been nicer and more supportive to say, we don't agree with the things he's saying and we support Ethan and Hila? Sure. Like, yeah, that would have been a nicer thing to say. Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out. And then maybe we can find a moment in time, I don't know how long it'll be, but a moment in time in the future where things are a little bit easier to broach. I don't think we need to do it right now.
This isn't a situation where you can take a pause when somebody's actively has a government worker coming to their house to interview their kids. You don't get that much. Don't you think Ethan and Hila would have liked a moment to pause the situation when the social worker showed up and said he needs to talk to the 5-year-old and the 3-year-old? Don't you think they would have liked to take a pause? This isn't a moment to pause. This is a moment to make a broad statement. Yeah. So shallow to be like, you're going through something, let me leave your life for a bit. Yeah. When shit hits the fan and your silence is deafening because it's not, he didn't drag you into the situation. You were dragged in, unfortunately, by somebody else, by that editor and by the commenters who pointed it out. But once you're in it, you can't just then still hold silence. Your statement of non-committal from being silent during the situation that didn't involve you immediately is invalidated once you've been involved in it. And it sucks to get dragged into something like that. You never want to have to make a statement, but you don't have a choice at that point, because it's not it's no longer an issue of my friend doesn't like my other friend. It's a situation of my other friend's friend is fucking with my friend. Like, you're no longer in a triangle situation. You're in, like, a circle, because there's so many different connections there that are dragging and pulling it all together that are, that it has more nuance than, how about you go to therapy to work this out? The only therapy he's going to be going to is family therapy when his kids go, why did I get pulled out of school, and why did somebody ask me if mommy and daddy are mean to me or like do bad things? That's when it's going to be therapy time.
But you've insisted that this is an important thing to address. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me on your Instagram story.
Fuck you, piece of shit. Fuck my friends too. I've stood by all these years. Now who can't find their spine? I don't need any fair weather friends. It is you're being a fair weather friend when you choose to only be around when it serves you best. When you can make a return content cop that your brand new friends, your Hassan Piker and Denim's friends are gonna really like that you made this video because it's gonna be mean. And because your name used to mean something when you put this title, this content cop title on something, it used to mean something, and it's beneficial for your new friends to see that, and for their fans to go, hey, look, the guy that used to have good takes is on my side, so I'm right. That's when you're a fair weather friend, when you choose to go to where the grass is greener at the moment.
Blasting me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not do harassment campaigns and instead talk about Vampire's Kiss.
You don't get 3,000 views because you talk about Vampire's Kiss. You get 3,000 views because you don't know how to be entertaining. You don't have to make harassment content to be entertaining and bring value to people's days. You just have to not have an insufferable personality.
Like they say something like
You have to be somebody who's worth watching and listening to for more than 5 seconds without getting a migraine.
Doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually
She thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Go fuck yourself. What about your girl? This is what I'm talking about. This aggression that you're putting out into the world. What the fuck do you think we're gonna do? You think I'm gonna fucking sit on my hands when you do this shit? Like, this is
You sat on your hands the last 7 years as you've watched your empire crumble, as you've watched everybody who was a fan of you, who was a friend of yours, move on to different things and leave you behind because you couldn't bear to admit truly that you were wrong in your shift.
nasty. We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing.
Your fair response was your 2,000 view podcast sitting there for 10 minutes and telling them to go to therapy over it. Telling them that they should go to therapy so they can be happier, more sedated people. Telling them to get on SSRIs or something. You're like, do you work? Like, it's befuddling to see this kind of a take. Because it's stupid. It doesn't make sense if you're not somebody who's completely mind melted and like rotted from the inside.
But it happens, and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to stop harassing you if you continue to harass people. Let's think about it on a micro level. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on forever if you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line, what happened today, that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people. It's going to have ramifications.
This is the moment. I know this because I commented on the video. Commented 26 minutes and still no mention that this was caused by the CPS call. I spent the first 26 minutes of this video kind of going, okay, maybe this is an okay point. I mean, he is kind of going crazy. I guess they don't owe him anything truly. But then it like dawned on me that this video was very purposefully framed to avoid that glaring issue in this whole argument. and that's instantly when I was like, oh yeah, I almost got fooled. I almost was fooled into thinking that this was a worthy response, or this was something worth finding value in.
In terms of how I conduct myself, in terms of these fair weather friends who are, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ethan, that is a rich thing to say. Like, you're the H3 podcast, okay? There's a lot of friends of the show. There's even more fair weather friends of the show. Let's not get into this shit, okay? That is so bizarre and insulting to suggest that I was only ever being friends with you to get something out of it. No.
It's not that you were getting anything out of it. It's that obviously you were fine with being friends with him so long as it wasn't controversial to be friends with him. That's how you're a fair weather friend. You're not a fair weather friend because you got something out of it, or because you felt like you were gaining something. It was purely the lack of controversy around it, how easy it was. It was the ease of the situation that kept you friends with him. He doesn't mean you're a fair weather friend because you were like on payroll. That would be stupid. That would make all of this completely null and void, because it would be dumb. It wouldn't make any sense. But it makes sense to call you a fair weather friend when you leave the second it gets uncomfortable to be your friend.
I'm friendly with you, and I'd say I'm a light friend because it's been pleasant hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Still in disbelief. Still cannot believe that this is the video that he's putting the Content Cop title on yet again. This is the return to form. This is supposed to be the Jesus returns, rises from the dead moment.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say, like, yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but...
How can you not attack when things have escalated to this point? Like, obviously, in any scenario, you can say, why did it have to escalate to this? Because there is the decision to escalate it at a point. There was the decision to say something more, to put it on the stream, but it's stupid. I don't know. This is a step beyond. You're missing the point because you don't want to bring up the fact that CPS was called. He has this big event upcoming where he has a lot on the line. I don't understand why he would choose to do this now. This has to be the worst play possible. I brought this up in the beginning when I was sort of prefacing everything, but nobody thought it would be H3. People who are Hassan fans wanted it to be, and they got what they wanted, but everyone who has a second of forethought, which Ian obviously doesn't, thought, okay, Lena, the wife of AB, a producer for H3 Podcast, is going to be in Creator Clash 3, which is supposed to be it needs to be a huge redemption for iDubbbz, or else he's going to lose the last 0.5 milliliters, the half of one drop of credibility he has left after the disaster of Creator Clash 2, after the absolute fumbling of his career for the last 6 years, and he's going to take his... It's in June. 2 months before. Probably one of the most crucial, critical moments in the continuation of his career, and he's going to make a video that... Unfortunately, this is... Okay. If you don't know what's going on, this is going to work. everyone who is a Hassan fan, everyone who has continued to enjoy iDubbbz's content is going to eat this up. But anyone who has spent a little bit of time watching H3's coverage of this is immediately going to see through how obviously hollow this video is and how lacking of substance it is. To take 27 minutes for this point, which is a lot of his video. This is most of his video, and the rest, there are some good points. I watched it. I know there's some stuff coming up that you can be critical of H3 of, but this is terrible framing for the situation that you easily could have avoided to justify taking a side finally. He didn't take a side for so long in this conflict, for the last year of H3 and Hassan falling out, because it wasn't advantageous. He didn't know who was going to come out on top, but now he sees a crack in H3 and he jumped at it, and it's very blatant.
I feel very insulted, and I feel defensive, and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you, and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
Who that has had problems with H3 hasn't been screaming it from the rooftops for the last year? Is Denham's really sitting there quietly taking the abuse in quotes of being called a bitch? No, she's sitting there and she's laughing and she's pressing her boobs together so that she gets better viewership on the streams while she avoids talking about anything and just sits there in silence watching the videos and then goes, he used the improper grammar in this moment. Like, that's the elementary level insults that she's throwing back at him, and it's just this video isn't going to change the minds of either side. I just don't understand why he would stick his neck out for such a divisive topic. Exactly, he's sticking his neck out because he's picking a side, and he truly believes that this is the correct move for him to move forward, and I guess at any point, all I can say is I hope he doesn't regret it, because he obviously hasn't regretted it yet, but who knows where it's going to be next.
It's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist. Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
The minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much do you actually care? Isn't that the whole point? Like,
I realize that Ethan and Hila are more scared now than they've probably ever been. I feel like anti-Semitism is a thought in their heads now more than ever. And it's not completely unjustified to be thinking about that sometimes. You guys are just hurt, and you're kind of like dancing around and making very like loose.
If he just kept quiet, this would have all blown over, no problem. But he had to insert himself to the most heated internet drama ever. Like, well, he did it because his name was finally brought up, and he felt like he could make an argument at least. He just, Creator Clash 3 drops, everyone makes fun of him, and he goes, okay, I need something to be able to get my name back out there. I need a good teaser. I need to rack in some views. I need people to remember that I exist. And he put his stake in the ground, and this is where it is. He put his flag on the Hassan camp, and he hopes that they all turn out to Creator Clash 3.
Poorly
It's a
thought
stunt.
out analogies for something that doesn't even apply to us. It's like me making this video is the standing up for something, and it's saying fuck you. You guys are being bad. You know, I don't think you're bad people, but you're being bad. You're behaving poorly. You're hurting people.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like not risking anything. Those
Right.
kids who are marching with the black students and
So in Ethan's analogy, he's the black student and I'm the white student, but I'm the white student that's not, marching by his side. I'm not doing the difficult thing. You're gonna have to march on your own, black student.
marching with the black students and
I mean, why is it inspiring? Why is it inspiring?
well, and it's the same thing. To bring it back to Hassan, just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like I was thinking about going to Gaza
Yeah.
until I found out it's
Until
dangerous. He's a total performative actor.
I think you could tell exactly where iDubbbz is missing the point too, because in the very clip that he uses, Ethan goes, it's an aside to bring up Hassan and that community in this, because his problem is just with iDubbbz in this moment. This is separate. This is one step removed, because it's no longer because he's friends with Hassan or Denims. It's because of a situation caused by that did require intervention.
Well, and it's the same thing. To bring it back to Hassan, just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like I was thinking about going to Gaza
Yeah.
until I found out it's
Until
dangerous. He's a total performative activist that doesn't give a single fuck about the cause.
It's been performed exquisitely. Harassing one person and seamlessly transitioning into harassing another one. If anyone's been watching for the past fucking year, I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of your feelings about Hassan.
Like people like Anissa are the perfect.
And he clips that, puts it in that framework that he's relating it to the Hassan thing, and putting himself in the next in the next position of targeting, when he's just mad that his coworker and friend didn't stand up for him for something that is easy to stand up for. It wasn't even difficult to stand up for this specific thing.
Example, because she's friends with these people. She's friends with Denims. Denims is streaming this story about our kid.
I'll show that, yeah.
The story about the kid. Oh my god, it's frustrating because this is so obviously misconstrued.
Getting Giarda from the dog, whatever.
I'm sorry, I'll accept this position from anyone except you guys. You have laid the groundwork for this type of streaming, which is watching people's shit and giving your unfiltered reaction to it. Why would you expect...
That clip didn't even have him talking shit on Denims for React content. It was him upset that Ian is friends with Denims it wasn't a direct support, but it was a indirect, it was very implied that Denims was in support of the CPS call or had made comments that could have spurred it on. And that's what Ethan's mad about Ian being friends with them for. That's where this anger is coming from. It's not just because he's friends with Hassan. Ian's been friends with Hassan and that whole thing for a while, and it wasn't a problem. It only became a problem when you got dragged into it.
Anissa, of all people, to say something to Denims. Okay, so by that logic, we should be saying shit to you guys all the time. But I have a feeling you guys wouldn't like if we said shit like that to you all the time. Yeah, we've been respecting you as independent content creators. You can do what you want. We'll treat you as adults. Maybe we shouldn't have been treating you as adults.
She could say so much, and it would make her a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's not comfortable. She'll get a little bit of shit.
Yeah, just for
But
saying
that would be commendable.
And by the way, it kind of speaks for itself that saying, hey, their house is clean, they're actually good people, like that's gonna get you shit. That kind of says.
And that's all they needed to say. All they needed to say was their house is clean, their kids aren't rolling in shit. That's it. That's the only statement that was required, and that's the only statement that didn't come out of their mouths, and that's why there's a problem. It didn't need to be you getting on your hands and knees and begging for Ethan's approval and disavowing every friend you've ever had. It was just the one situation that by choosing to not do that evolved your silence that you were so proud of, that you were making a statement of non-committal by saying nothing, was a statement in and of itself, just like you said, and that statement was the wrong one. Even people, you can hate Ethan, and still, because you've been friends with him and you've been to his house, it's almost an obligation that you just stand up for someone who's obviously being harassed wrongfully.
It all, doesn't it?
There isn't a single person that I respect who would give a fuck if I publicly said that Ethan and Hila are great with their kids, Ethan and Hila didn't kill their dog, and Ethan and Hila wipe their asses or don't have giardia or whatever the fuck it.
Then why didn't you? If you wouldn't have lost friends over it, why didn't you? That was the only thing you needed to do. And this is avoided.
The prompt is, no one would care. The only person who would care is me, because I'm like, why did I tweet this out?
Because somebody was harassed and children were involved. Because something in real life happened over this internet drama. That's when you step in. That's when you have to say something.
I'm not your fucking lapdog. That's why I'm not tweeting it out. I'm not saying it to my audience because I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
That's, in my opinion, doing something that's
Yes, it
difficult
does.
and standing by your principles. That's the whole point. That's what makes standing by your principles admirable, is that it's not always easy.
Why are you saying that I'm not standing up for my principles when you don't even know what they are? I get, like, we're a little bit past directly naming me, so we might have gone off on a tangent. If you maybe accepted the phone call and we talked about it, you could have asked me, hey, what are your principles? And I can tell you the way I've been behaving is exactly in line with my principles. Now we're going to talk about the BDS list. We're going to start off with Frogan.
Befriend, discuss, social media, follow. Okay.
Because obviously this is like as bad as it gets.
I was already driving home from work by the time I got to this part, so I didn't have the visual to tie everything to. So I'm a little blind on this.
If you're following Frogan, that can only mean that you're anti-Ethan. Oh, this is not a good start. Love of the H3 podcast. You are following Frogan, so that means that you are anti-Ethan. Sam, Morg Pie, friend of the show. Olivia, Ian, Daily Dose of Internet, is anti-Ethan? Jesus, this is fucked up. Pokimane, comment etiquette. Oh shit, Asmongold's in here? Asmongold follows Frogan.
Yep. He's saying his principles aren't aligned with Ethan's. The principle of he can take care of his kids aren't aligned. That's it. That's the principle. And he can disagree with Ethan's Israel takes. That's not the problem in the specific situation. And it's grossly misconstrued and malaligned with what truly is the problem here.
No, Asmon. That means you're anti-Ethan. That's fucked up. We're going to want to avoid these creators at the top of the list, but one tier below them are the creators who associate with them. They're essentially endorsing all of their statements. You got me, you got Anissa, I think Hassan's in there. You'd think that Hassan would be on the top of the BDS list, but that's not the case. Hassan provides additional value for people. Ethan can turn a blind eye to people collaborating with Hassan because that's what he did. You gotta be the lowest of the low to be associating with the Frogans and the Denims of the world. To associate with Hassan, that just makes sense because he's famous and he's got a massive fan base. Also, Ethan still follows Hassan on Instagram, so Hassan is in his feed.
And that's showing up right up on Nissa's and iDubbbz's feed.
It's important to remember that this is a living document and people can be removed or put onto it depending on how Ethan's feeling that day. You have this other tier of creators that exist below Hassan but are still anti-Ethan, but Ethan really doesn't want to bring your attention to these ones because it's kind of unpopular, you know? A lot of them are famous. It's no coincidence that Ethan stays silent when these powerful, popular men are supporting Hassan. It's because...
This is a weird... I was listening to this point while I was driving, and I couldn't quite understand why this was... And I think it's obvious because it doesn't go on for very long why it feels weak, because it's not a strong point. You don't... framing this as if Ethan is just power hungry, completely misses the point of why Ethan is going against Hassan in the first place.
Charge complete.
Because Ethan going against Hassan was his statement that he doesn't care if he loses a lot of his followers because he'd rather have integrity in what he covers. And the only reason that Hassan is getting hate, but he's not like the tier 1, is because Hassan himself is only sort of filtering his shit talking through these people who are doing the most of the footwork for spreading the points that are aggressive against Ethan. And these people that collaborate with Hassan don't, the next episode when Hassan's not even there, still go, H3's a bitch ass motherfucker. You know, they're not sitting there day after day tweeting about it, getting they're not calling animal protective, they're not calling PETA on Ethan because his dog got a scratch when he fell down or something. It's not equivalent to what the crux of the issue between Ethan and Ian is.
Ethan is a coward. He's a bitch-made coward. I think Ethan has an unreasonable amount of respect for these comedians because they have power, they're quick, and I think he knows that they don't fuck with his ideology. But he's going to keep that to himself because the last thing that he wants to discover is that people that he respects and looks up to, they don't fuck with him.
Bill Burr came on. It was like the worst fucking show. It was just horrible. That was like my lowest moment on podcast.
See, but Ethan's doing the exact same thing that Ian did a couple of years ago when he apologized about Content Cop. He's sticking his neck out there to stand up for what he believes is right, even if it alienates a part of his audience. That's what he's doing. That's what the whole point of the Hassan content nuke and breaking off leftovers and all this is for. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Hassan is a self-described propagandist. All he does is inspire extremists to rally to his cause. And that's true, and that's why Ethan disconnected and he alienated that audience that he had accrued during the leftovers time. Just like Ian did when he renounced Content Cop and the harassment and his language. And I think the only reason that Ian is mad here is because Ethan isn't feeling as much hurt from it. He did it in a respectable way where he stood on his shit without also backtracking. He's shifting without disavowing everything that came before it. If that makes sense. If I'm saying anything that makes sense. He's saying, you know, everything I said I still believe, but I don't think that the people I'm doing it with align with what I'm saying, and I think they are beyond. But Ian turned around and said that anyone who... Yeah, he's just butthurt. Yeah, Ian is just so butthurt Ethan called him spineless that's what this is about. It is what it's about because they've done the same thing in different ways, and one has come out successful and the other has not.
We could talk about Bill Burr ruined my life. Bill Burr made Ethan go on Lexapro. I was prescribed it and it was in my bedside. And then it was the Bill Burr episode that made me finally start.
When Stavros goes on Hassan's stream and he mocks your content nuke,
I actually saw a really interesting video about you, man, and I don't know that I'm even comfortable being here anymore.
Oh no.
It really kind of shed light on you in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of like have leftist politics and stuff like that, and I actually feel betrayed.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually just here to let you know this is the last time I'm ever coming.
you don't fire back because you're coping. So you're just going to tuck your tail between your legs and never mention on your podcast that mentions everything. You're bringing up some fucking connection I have on Twitter, someone mocks you on a stream, you're not touching it. Fuck you, you're a coward. It's just his job. It's just what he does for his job. You know, he doesn't mean it. We're actually good friends. You know, he makes fun of everyone. It's not just me, right? Oh, also, I can't forget about Matt Lieb. Matt Lieb is in this like middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with. Although he's sniffing around.
This guy Matt Lieb, he works for Good Mythical Morning. Of all people, this guy Matt Lieb, who apparently is a producer for Good Mythical Morning.
Well,
This guy works for Good Mythical Morning, acting like he's wholesome, and he's bringing on somebody that wants to kill my wife, or in a video game. And I think he should be fired, frankly. And I hope he is fired. He's pathetic, and he interviewed a fucking, basically a terrorist.
I think Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place, is because he thinks I'm weak. He thinks a lot of these other creators that he's gone out of his way.
You are weak, dude. Ian, you are weak. You are spineless. You didn't stick your neck out there for something that was an easy win. Disavowing calling CPS. You didn't even have to say that he has a clean house or anything. You could have just said, that's weird. Don't do that. That's crazy targeted harassment. And that wouldn't have amounted, you said it yourself, that wouldn't have amounted to any backlash to you. It only would have served to be an olive branch in a dark moment for Ethan and Hila. And you decided not to because you were afraid, you were scared, or because you were short-sighted. And either way, that shows a lack of spine, a lack of backbone.
To attack. He thinks that they're weak, and he thinks they're a target that he can bully, he can manipulate, he can send lawsuits to. And I want him to know that we're not going to be bullied. You're being a piece of shit, and we're going to call you out.
So here's the button. You've got a video and you've got an audio. We're hitting both.
Yes.
There's no point.
This part, the button, I'm gonna let it play, but there's some, this one's not as cut and dry.
Let's leave.
Yeah, there's no need.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Oh, shit. Like, how pathetic are you? Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I'll garnish your wages. I don't like pedophile. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You'll be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. Yes, please, I want to be a good Jew. I'm a good Jew, please, guys, please.
That was fine. Yeah, I don't think it was that.
That was fine.
This whole video is just, I'm not weak, I'll show you how strong I am. He thinks he's brave by taking the bandwagon route. Like, he's got his chest out with his shitty fucking tribal tattoo, American traditional tattoo that he should get surgically removed with a scalpel, so it just takes all the skin off because it's tacky and cheesy and corny. But he wants to puff his chest out because he's been the internet's punching bag every time he's opened his mouth for the last 6 years, and he thinks he can get an easy slam dunk because any negative press on H3 will get views and will get likes. I would be YouTube needs to bring back the dislike button just for this video, because I would be ecstatic to see the real stats on this, and it would I think it would be damning.
Big a deal. Of all the things that
Anywho,
it always surprises me what
But to see a positive like ratio would also be fucking, that would blackpill me, because a lot of people probably do not care and are not going to take this as seriously. Well, you shouldn't even take this seriously. I saw this and I laughed. You can get a Chrome plugin to see the dislikes. I know about the plugin, but I don't know how accurate this is, but from what I understand, the Chrome plugin only collects data from people who have the plugin installed already, and the people that have the plugin installed are people who are disliking videos and want to see how disliked a video is. So it's showing you skewed statistics because it's an estimate. It's an estimate based on the amount of people who have the extension and have disliked the video. And it gives you a sort of rough estimate. So you're not seeing everything. You're only seeing videos that are getting dislike bombed by people who like. It's at 81K. Okay, I like that. I do like that. That's pretty. That's evidential. That just goes to show if that's accurate. If I'm wrong about my understanding of the plugin, that's awesome. But I don't completely trust it because it does seem like it's a pretty not scummy, but like predatory sort of way to make people feel like that they're seeing what they want to see in dislike ratios.
What you think crosses the line?
Well, I looked at Olivia and she's like, yes, do it.
Now let's talk about the button. Ethan got this button, or kill switch, as a response to the controversy with Cutie Cinderella. He was not able to control himself in that moment, and instead of figuring out how he can change his behavior, he spent $20,000.
Dan and Ela were like, we would kill button that right now if we could. I can't.
A lot of this, okay, the button argument, to my understanding, is that Ethan says outlandish shit, and it's proof that he's an unhinged person who is unreliable. And that can be understood to an extent, and I don't know, I need to let the arguments play before I can really...
I can't change who I am.
I know. That's why. That's why the kill button is on its way.
That's it. See, exactly.
He uses the button for everything. If his jokes don't land, he's hitting the button.
It was being presented as if the Jordan crying thing.
I hit the button.
Why?
I don't think I needed to, but you guys were giving me crickets, so I panicked.
If he's insecure about getting something wrong, he's hitting the button.
But okay.
What?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the whole point of the show. The show is built on Ethan saying crazy shit. That's Ethan's entire brand is being unfiltered and having a larger than life personality and being funny. If he neutered himself like iDubbbz did, he would lose his audience like iDubbbz did.
Ethan have responded to perhaps the country flag that he got wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
If he goes on a problematic tirade, he's hitting the button.
Before, look how sad. But yeah, it's not just that. Like their eyes are like big. I think you guys are wrong on this one. I think you guys are all wrong on this one.
I don't think he's unique in hitting the button. I think if all of us had buttons, we'd hit the button all the time. But if you don't have it, you operate differently. You think about what you're saying. You maybe plan for your show a little bit more. You maybe say, I'm not going to...
Ian's brand from the old days was being as controversial. He was more controversial than anyone. He was the king of controversy because he said what everyone... Not what everyone was thinking, but he said what nobody else would say. Just like how Ethan would say crazy shit, Ian would say crazy shit, but Ian eventually, he stepped back on it. He showed spinelessness and backed off of his argument. My favorite iDubbbz quote from back in the day, because I was a big fan. I was a huge fan. 2016, I was 14 years old. I loved it. I was eating that stuff up on the regular. It was the best thing possible because he said words I'd never heard before. I'd never thought people would ever say and make me laugh. And in one of his videos, he goes, either it's all okay or none of it's okay. And that stuck with me. That stuck with me insanely powerfully. And it was such a powerful statement and such a stance, a strong stance to take, that it was inspiring. And to see him completely walk it back, undo all the good that he did with that, everything that he stood for, and make fun of it to an extent, and say it was all bullshit, is why he lost everything. is why nobody cares anymore. Because he lost the plot. He lost the plot to an insane degree.
To have my podcast
And he's mad
be
that
an
Ethan's
emotional dumping
regaining the
ground for
plot
today,
and still has
to
the
instead
plot.
say, ooh, it's important that we stay on topic. Also, the H3 community and Ethan himself use the phrase goblin mode all the time to excuse a lot of his shitty behavior or make it seem less bad.
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually.
By claiming that what happens is he just gets into this like uncontrolled state he refers to as goblin mode.
I do not call myself
This-
goblin mode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you did.
Goblin mode? Is that what you're calling Tourette's now?
To all victims of goblin mode, I would like to issue an apology.
He
You
got
are
that.
goblin mode today. You're goblin mode. Look how many times you paused the
I'm
fucking
trying,
video.
bro.
And I don't think there's no room for using the term goblin mode. I like the idea that you're defending yourself and the little guy by going goblin mode when a big corporation or a big entity is trying to attack you.
Like, if you fuck me over, if you steal money from me, if you patronize me, if you do any of this shit like you're trying to do to me, to treat me like a fucking idiot, I'm crazy, dude. I've gone fucking goblin mode over way less.
But you not thinking about what you're saying, not, reflecting on your behavior, not changing your behavior, that's not goblin mode. That's being a child. Let's talk about the crew. I think the crew has been put in the...
He's acting like being the funny man, being the clown on the screen. You need to grow. Like, it's his job to say crazy shit and be funny and toe the line of what's appropriate. That's what he does. That's the whole point. That's what he enjoys about the career he's built. And to tell him to grow up is like to tell him to pop an Ambien before he starts every stream up so that he's nice and sleepy and yawning the whole time instead of saying something funny and like tweaking because something crazy happened. It's totally against the whole point of the entire show. It's why iDubbbz catching squirrels wasn't exactly hailed as one of his greatest series after he disowned Content Cop, one of the greatest YouTube series of all time. He went from the king to catching squirrels, and that was cool. But it was second channel content. It was stuff he was putting on a second channel until he realized he didn't have the juice to put the effort into his main channel anymore. Even he was too therapied up. He was told he was problematic one too many times, and he goes, oh, maybe I shouldn't push back against these people that want to control what I say and do. Maybe I should just let it happen.
Worst working environment that you possibly can be for a fucking podcast. Every crew member has it bad. To be around Ethan, period, would be a nightmare right now.
I'm standing by every fucking syllable of that, okay? What she did was abhorrent. And by the way,
Just don't. Listen, your critique of her is correct. It's just, people are sensitive about women being called that word. And so...
like, how pathetic are you? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not assuming his pronouns. And fuck all these people. Go ahead.
No,
and I'm
no.
not yelling at you. I'm just... Kelly is a black woman, right?
Yes.
Maziel is a...
Korean.
Oh, Dan, come on. You're being such a buzzkill. Yeah, I don't know Korean. I asked if Koreans are POs.
Yeah. Okay. The crew members have it bad because of harassment from people like you, Ian. The crew members are independent adult human beings. If they truly hated their job, they wouldn't work there. I don't think Ethan is paying them such a extremely high luxury salary that it's impossible for them to even fathom leaving, and that they're in such an abusive situation. There have been people that have left the show, right? He's had producers come and go. He's had people in the background come and go. It's not like they're held there by a blood pact. They choose to continue to work for him, even when he has moments of insanity because that's the point of the show, and they understand the point of the show is towing the line.
God.
You know, Dan's in the bathroom. Let's just not do this right now.
I asked if Korean people are POCs.
The one time the button didn't work and we listened to how he spoke to AB without thinking that the internet was going to hear it, it was rude, it was nasty, and it didn't have this caveat of like, I'm not mad at you. It was anger, and it was uncalled for.
Use they get access to cover most of it.
We're doing it.
What are
Making
you
it
doing?
so awkward and terrible.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just like this is what I'm talking about when it's always like.
We need to get home for our kids.
It's like, bro.
Oh no, I didn't want to finish it right now. I was just talking about finishing Wednesday.
On Friday, maybe. Is it? You guys like.
All right, I'm taking my hand up. What? Okay, well.
Heard all that.
Thanks, button.
And he didn't want to take accountability for it. He immediately wanted to deflect, and he wanted to say that the button fucked him.
First of all, I appreciate the hard work.
I know you
done,
do.
and I loved it, and I really enjoy it.
But yeah, I mean, okay, that's a bad moment. That's like him in a bad mood. That's obviously not like a super great showing for him, but that's not supposed to be like, that's not an indictment on him as a boss, because in the heat of a moment during work he gets frustrated and it looks bad because he has to like back off when it's been recorded. It's just not, it's not that deep. This is Ian never having worked like a job and been told off. And this is not like, this isn't even like an office job where you get told off and it's just like nothing burger. You go back to your work and you do not, like, this is, it's just a more public space. It's not, this is just something that happens when you're working.
But it's like every time we do it, it's like the show is what it is, and
I know.
it makes it.
I was being selfish.
No, dude, that button me, dude. Can you imagine that button me over like that?
The button fucked you? AB fucked you? Who fucked you? You fucked yourself by being an asshole. He makes it seem like he's not a tyrant of a boss.
We're doing it.
What are
Making
you
it
doing?
so awkward and terrible. I appreciate the hard work.
I know you do.
And I loved it, and I really enjoy it.
Dan, his producer, is constantly clarifying things on the air and making it clear that what Ethan said was a joke, Ethan is being overly defensive, or he's saying things that are like not true and he's exaggerating.
People saw that. They thought that was what you searched to
I did
pull
not
up that photo. So I'm just clarifying.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you doing that.
This is like Dan does the classic straight man. He is the straight man of the podcast to Ethan. He's the guy who reins him back in and puts the filter of a normal person into the shoes of the show. Like, he's the stand-in for the audience who may not be on board with the bombastic style. It's part of the show. It's not like Dan would be there if that wasn't something he was cool with doing. It's mischaracterizing what the show is as in its whole. And I don't even watch the show. I just understand that to be entertaining, you have to be entertaining and successful, you have to be pushing some sort of boundary if you're going to be trying to be funny.
God forbid. Why?
Because
it's not that big of a deal, man.
Just
Like,
your
how
inability to.
No. Hold on, Dan. How does it change anything? People knowing that we did it.
It's fun when it's a surprise.
Okay, well.
Here's like a way to sort of think of it that I'm trying to formulate in my brain is Ethan's a train and Dan is an engineer, and he's an engineer in the meaning that he's not constantly running it. He's just making sure the train is on the rails, and he throws coal in the engine when it needs it, and he takes coal out when it doesn't need it. He just keeps it straight.
Well, you just asked
He doesn't. He's not pedaling. He's not like being forced to sweat in an engine boiler room, sweating it out, dying, keeping it on the rails. He's just laying it on where it needs to be.
Surprise them on your show.
Okay. All right.
You know, I understand that that's his role, and he's, you know, Ethan's made that his job, or Dan's made it his job. Ethan leans on it so heavily. In the same way that he leans on the button. Ethan is leaning on all of these people to be adults and look after his behavior. And
People like it. People like a moment where the button gets pressed and they're like, oh, what did he say? He must have said something crazy. Oh, that's funny. Or where Dan has to go, whoa, 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 whoa. Chill out, because that's... Yeah, almost like he's a producer. Exactly. It's ridiculous to make it seem like it's stupid. His wife is the coward who is behind the camera. That's true. That's true. She didn't show her face at all. But there is something good about it just being Ian in this, because it is a content cop. It is an attempt at a return to form. It's just not done properly. It's not done well. But having Anissa there would have only discredited him more. Anissa being there was nothing but a boon to this video, and it was probably smart to leave her out, even if it would have shown more backbone on her part. It was just, this was the only way for them to do it and still be able to frame it in the way that they wanted to, so that it could have an impact on the people that they are trying to impact. This was calculated. This wasn't like Ian didn't wake up the morning after Ethan shit on him and he threw this together. He definitely orchestrated this. He made sure he put the video together well enough and with enough talking points and in a way where he could come out on top in the eyes of somebody who isn't paying attention. Yeah. It's just, it sucks. It sucks because this will work. This does work. This is working on everyone who it's intended for. It's just, it's unfortunate that iDubbbz chooses not to walk his own way and realize that the path that he sows for himself doesn't have to be the path that everyone has walked before. It doesn't have to be safe. It can be more than this, and it used to be.
Energy for Ethan, but Ethan refuses to give it back to them. Also, let's talk about AB and Lena, 2 Lebanese employees, and you just continue to talk about the conflict.
Do they care? Do they, like, they would quit if they thought that everything that was being said on the show was bullshit and it was highly offensive. They wouldn't be there.
Like,
it's a job.
Exist. It would be nicer, a lot nicer, for you to shut the fuck up about it. You're allowed to do that.
Hezbollah in Syria alone killed double that much. All right, I'm going to move on. I just want to play Hassan talking about Bad Empanada.
Ethan doesn't want to change, and he wants to bring the entire crew down with him. Because
Ethan doesn't want to change because Ethan knows what got him to the position he's in right now. His larger-than-life personality, his quick wit, and his willingness to push the boundaries are what got him where he is. And it's what got you where you are right now, where you were, where you should be, iDubbbz, but you have ran from it. Ran from it in every way you can.
Right? But it's more important that he gets this shit off his chest. It's more important that he dumps. We're all familiar with Goblin Mode. Well, Ethan debuted a new mode recently.
And by the way, my ratio is pretty good.
Mhm.
Like, I'm looking at like 20 Goblin modes to 1 too far. Demon mode, let's call it.
What
I'm going
makes
demon mode.
different than
That's what I call when I go to the bathroom.
Goblin Mode is goblins aren't really like an intimidating.
When I walk up to the toilet, it's like a JoJo character walking up to an enemy stand user, and it's the toilet that I'm walking up to.
Powerful force. If the goblin is persistent, it can get what it wants.
When I'm done with the other one, the big one that's dropping probably next week, my full attention is going to you, George. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach.
Ethan, the reason the internet got behind you when you were being sued by Matt Haas or when you were being sued by Ryan Kavanaugh is because people saw you as the underdog. They saw you as the guy who's defending the common man.
I'm suing, and I cannot wait for you guys to read it. At the moment, we are writing 3 complaints for 3 people.
You are doing the classic rich asshole thing. You have a deficit of friends, you have a surplus of enemies. You feel really bad, you feel hurt, but you also have a surplus of money. So what can you do? You can use that money to bully and intimidate people. These public legal threats that you're making to fellow creators, these legal threats that you're making to people on Reddit, on Twitter, you're like, I'm hurt. These people are hurting me. What do I do to stop it? There's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm powerless. No, you have a ton of power, you have a ton of options, you have a ton of choice. That's exactly what you get for being filthy rich, is you can do all of these things.
I've never want to sue someone for defamation, but like at what point do you kind of fucking have to? I mean, this is like basically someone calling you a pedophile. Be like, yeah, no, Ethan's a pedophile.
Dan Clancy or whatever, like the CEO of Twitch, and being
Pedophile. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite. There are certain things you can accuse people of that rise above to make it like actionable, which is like wrongfully accusing someone of being a pedophile, a sex criminal, a murderer, shit like that. Dan Clancy
Online.
now, in other words, he is a pedophile.
You have so much less to go off of saying that
Oh
than
no,
anybody
I was
has
just saying
about
based
Dream.
on his looks. Just based on his
Well, at least you're self-aware.
That's 100% a joke. I have no evidence to conclude that he is.
One of the more notable legal threats that Ethan has sent out recently is against Noah Sampson.
I have nothing but...
I don't have... This is where I lose my footing. This is where I lose my traction, because it is a little bit tasteless to get litigious, especially against people who obviously are just like normal people working everyday jobs. I don't know the extent of the H3 snark harassment. The only true harassment that I'm totally aware of is the CPS call, and I think that his lawsuits were already in the making during that. So this is a point of... This is why he I don't know if he ends the video with this, but he definitely puts this closer to the end because it's something he wants to stick out in people's minds as one of his stronger points.
But
because it's gay to sue. It is gay to sue. So that's it.
Vibes to
That's
gain,
all there
and
is to it.
potentially your money as well. Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I'll garnish your wages. You're gonna be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. 26, you know what I mean? Try 46.
Noah made a video that was critical of Ethan and other content creators when they're talking about Israel and Palestine. I mean, the way he's talking about Noah on his podcast is so fucking creepy and weird.
Is this a new thing?
This is a new thing. This happened during the show. Upon initial examination, it seems to check out, and it's not great for young Noah.
Can I say that? Don't say it yet.
I'll say it.
So he's a rape. So of course his standard. I don't know what he's accused of, so I'm not actually going to say. But
Ethan brought on...
It is... I mean, you're going to get excited when you see something you want to talk shit on. What, dude, when this video dropped, Saturday, when he tweeted out announcing Content Cop, I was like, oh my god, I can't wait to watch that. I hope it sucks so bad. And then when I saw it was on H3, I barely ever stream. This is my first stream in like a fucking month. But the second I started watching this video, my heart sank, and then I went, oh my god, it's time. It's time for me to scream. It's time for me to rant about nothing, because none of my friends actually like this shit, and I just have to talk into nothingness because I like it.
A former partner of Noah to basically just shit talk him and say that he's a bad partner. But that's all that Ethan was able to extract out of it.
you are not accusing him of committing any crimes or doing R-word or anything like that. The accusation is that he's a sleaze.
Absolutely. Noah
Yeah.
Sampson, as far as I know, is not a rapist.
Fuck you to Noah Sampson, who's not just a liar and a scumbag, but also a creep. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Now let's talk about the left-leaning Democrat.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things.
The thing that made me start to question Ethan's intentions is that when he was suggested to talk to Sam Cedar, a fellow progressive, a guy that Ethan respects and looks up to.
He works with Sam Cedar at the Majority Report. I respect him and what they do there.
He kept saying that it was racist or anti-Semitic to suggest that he talked to someone who's within the same ethnic group as him.
That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. There are very thoughtful, very kind anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to. I don't think that I will be able to reach him.
What's the insinuation that I only listen to other Jewish people? You need to talk to my pre-approved list of Jews that like agree with me on everything. You know, it doesn't matter if they're Jewish, dude. It doesn't matter if they're fucking Jewish.
I think most Jews.
I don't think Jews
this
at
is
large
great.
view it. I don't think that is the.
In what position are you?
I can see. There's 2 points to this. There's the side where Ethan he is dodging that. He is dodging an uncomfortable discussion because I don't know how well Ethan would do. So you do have to doubt his confidence in his stance when he's dodging it like this. But there is also the difference between a Jew and an Israel and somebody who's from Israel. There is a distinction. There's an American Jew and there's an Israeli Jew. So there's I don't know. I think Ethan probably is a little dodgy here. This isn't exactly a pristine look, but it is. I mean, there's a reason it's at the end of the video. It's gonna be on the stronger side.
You to even say that.
It is not motivated by myself. It's motivated by Jews against anti-Zionist
No,
Jews.
seriously, how can you speak for my entire ethnic group? I find that really interesting.
Ethan, I don't know what to fucking tell you. This is like step one of having a leftist ideology, is recognizing our race, religion, nationality, all this shit, all shape our experiences as people.
That's the reason why it'd be better served to have this conversation not with myself, but with an anti-Zionist Jewish person.
Why does it matter if they're Jewish?
Because I'm not Jewish, and you've said in this conversation that, like, how can you tell me how to feel about the situation?
Yeah, but how is one person a representative of Jews at large? I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
So yes, Ethan, on occasion.
Yeah, this was during the dark era. This is not a good showing. Ethan should have either done a discussion or had a better argument, because that's not a good enough reason. If he's going to speak for all of for pro-Israel Jews, it doesn't make sense to not discuss things with a anti Zionist Jew, I guess.
You might be suggested to talk to someone who has some crossover with you. It doesn't have to be your ethnicity. It could possibly be someone who shares progressive ideology with you. It could possibly be someone who is of your same gender. I think Ethan understands this concept very well. He listened to these women on his show when they told him that he shouldn't be calling women bitches.
This bitch is intolerable. You are such a nasty fucking bitch, Cam.
I don't know if you can call her a bitch though.
She is a bitch. She's a fucking. You're right. I call her a see you next Tuesday.
Listen, you have.
I'm curious, what do Lena and Sam think about it?
I wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's for the girlies, Ethan. But I
So
agree.
you guys all seem to be in consensus that it's in poor form. I think to respect the women here in the room, I'm gonna have to pass on saying that.
The infantilization of Ethan Klein is fucking nauseating. He's not a child. He is absolutely capable of looking into Hassan, learning about his politics, interviewing, doing loads of things to figure out where he stands.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things.
This is where Ian takes his full stance of not only being anti-Ethan because of the harassment that he sent towards him, but being pro-Hassan, and it's ooh baby.
And for the first time, I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not
whatever this was. This comment from Hassan really started to sound some alarms in my head. I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership. I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
You made how many episodes with Hassan? Like, this guy made a fucking program with the biggest mega leftist on the platform. Now he's acting like he was...
But, I mean, if you use context from the video, not only does Ethan say it, but Hassan himself has been quoted as saying that he hides his power level, in quotes. Like, he portrays himself as a less radical person than he may truly be, so that he can, so he's not completely ostracized from every conversation that isn't with a complete extremist, and can still find that middle ground, because he goes easy mode, he goes on light mode, and he only goes dark mode in his secrecy and on his streams, that you can't expect somebody who's also putting in hundreds of hours of work a week to sit there and watch all of Hassan's streams to put together his own deeper opinion on who Hassan is as a person.
tricked and he was incapable of figuring out what this guy's beliefs were. Bro, I didn't make the fucking leftist program. You did. You made fucking, what, 60 some odd episodes of this shit for hours talking to this guy? You didn't have a problem with any of it until, Ethan talks about being aware of Hassan's 9/11 comments and then sort of leaves it at that. Like it was just a joke. Actually, I think Ethan describes them as edgy moments or jokes.
You might remember him from such classics as...
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it, I'm saying it.
Now, to be clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show together, because who am I to judge?
No, Ethan, those aren't jokes, right? When someone makes a controversial statement like that, that's not them trying to be funny. I can understand why you would conflate.
But Hassan has gone back and said that it's a joke and said that and given it more context than him being an extremist. He's gone back and doubled back to give better context to what he meant. Even Hassan didn't mean it like an extremist to an extent. Like this is a non-point because it's not even true to the person you're defending.
The two. That is someone who is extremely frustrated and passionate about a particular topic. In this case, American imperialism and terrorism. You could have looked into that. You could have talked to Hassan a little bit more and found out what his international politics opinions are, but you wouldn't even need to do that. You can look at it online. You're not a victim. You weren't tricked. You made 60 some odd episodes. If you didn't want to go down this route, you shouldn't have done it. But that was your fucking choice. You did it. You are an adult.
Okay, then why are you mad that he's going back now and disavowing it when you're so pro disavowing the past? He isn't even truly disavowing it. He's saying that he didn't understand what was going on. You understood what you were doing when you were making the videos that you disavow now. That it's hypocritical. It's not true to even what you're saying and what you have said and what you stand by to this day.
And Ethan and Ela are watching Matt Lieb saying that one state doesn't represent all Jews. They cannot wrap their heads around the idea.
No single person represents all Jews.
I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
No single person represents all Jews, as no single state represents all Jews.
This is another weird thing.
Oh
Israel
my God.
This is a lie that I see Hassan and people pander. They say that Israel's going to war on behalf of Judaism. They have never, I don't believe that that's ever been stated. And I don't think Israel ever explains that it's like, I think Israel says it's a place where Jews can go.
Israel's just a place Jews can go? With that slogan, we might actually have peace. You know, if that's all you're defining Israel as, is a place Jews can go. Like, sure, it sounds like America to me. Like, all right.
Israel as a state was created as a safe haven for the Jews after World War II. That's literally what it is.
I don't think that Israel said they represent all Jews. I don't think that's a stance. We're like, hey, displacing Palestinians is all Jewish people.
Ethan is being so disingenuous here to suggest that he doesn't understand what Matt Lieb is saying. Like, he's making a semantic argument. Like, I don't think Israel has said that it represents every last Jew on the planet. I don't think Israel has claimed that. They're not going to say that their most genocidal behavior represents anything to do with them, okay? But what they are going to do is they're going to inexplicably link Israel and Jewishness together, so when they're being criticized, all of a sudden they have the perfect defense. Oh, another thing I need to mention. There was a tier list. It was called the Who Can Say Habibi tier list. It was presented
This is awesome.
at
I love this.
TwitchCon as like a panel that was
Just straight up Muslim to Jew tier list.
meant to be lighthearted and fun.
Which everyone
and
is accepted
Ethan
at this
Klein
point. That's
saw that, and he decided that it was anti-Semitic.
Tier list them, and we're going to need your help to discuss and figure out who can say Habibi and who can't.
And also, we have tiers. We have Arab coded. They ask permission to say Habibi. You know, like you got like a white guy who's like, "Can I say it? Is it a slur?" And then Love Sabra, which is they're not Arab coded at all.
Now, when I first saw this tier list, I immediately knew what it was doing. I was like, oh, it's a play on the who has the N-word pass and who doesn't tier list. Granted,
Jesus
Habibi is very
Christ.
different than the N-word, but it is a cultural word amongst Arabic-speaking people, and
You're pointing out what the good tier what the top tier means, but you're skating over what the bottom tier means and what iDubbbz and everything he's grown to represent over the years is the exact type of person who would point out a dog whistle, the exact kind of person who would be able to point out dog whistles that are obvious. And that was an obvious dog whistle. That was a dog whistle to Love Sabra means Jewish person because it's a Jewish corporation that appropriated hummus, I guess. It's and they put the Jewish people down there. Like it's not
Muslim.
It's not a leap in thinking to put those things to equate that.
people. Like that is a word that's used. Habibi. It means my love. Oh no, don't do that, Habibi. Oh yes, Habibi. You're my Habibi, I'm your Habibi. So yes.
iDubbbz gave himself the Arab pass for this part. He gave himself the pass. He looked past the camera into Anissa's eyes and she fucking nodded with a Habibi sign.
It's meant to be a fun way that these Arab content creators can express their Arab culture and be proud of it and happy about it. Because it's not like they have massive representation on the platform.
Making a tier list based on race. And nobody has a fucking problem with that. Okay, you have a tier list based on race. Where's the Jewish panel? Where's the Jewish panel? Where at the top it says Jewish. It's a tier list based on Arab to Jew. He's Arab, which is good. That's the best thing you can be on this. That's the best. This is racist.
I will say that conveying information through a tier list is not the most effective thing, but Ethan should understand this principle. He did a white slurs tier list with Hassan.
Cracker.
I mean, you know what my take is.
We can't put this as an F. Cracker. I mean, that's got to be at least a D, right?
Pale face motherfucker.
Pale face. I mean, again, I think that's an F. Hog.
So Hog is my favorite. I use it all the time.
Him and Hassan feel as though they are white guys, so they felt very comfortable talking about white slurs on their...
Which one's right here? They're both kind of just wrong to be putting down a people or uplifting a people over their over another people. It's not, these don't equate to make, these two wrongs don't make a right anywhere.
Tier list.
I think I'm more white than you. What do you think?
I think I'm white. Like, I'm super white.
Can you understand why Arabs might feel comfortable talking about Arab shit?
Okay, then put Arab to not Arab to Jewish. It's you're making a logical leap very blatantly on something that's so obvious and been discussed so heavily ever since it happened.
On their tier list, Ethan, you're the white guy. You think you're more white than Hassan.
I think I'm more white than you.
So, yeah, the white guy can say all the things that he wants, like cracker. But the Arabs can't have their tier list.
I would put him also in Arab. I know Turkish people are different.
Notice how they dropped the premise almost immediately that it's a It's about who can say Habibi. And then it's like, Hassan, okay, actually, he's Arab. We fucking love him. He's dope. He's Arab.
Habibi is an Arabic word. That is an Arabic word, Ethan.
Funny about this whole thing is that they say Habibi in Israel. Again, people underestimate just how, like, mixed Israeli culture is. Like,
We say Habibi in Israel. Yes, Ethan.
Yeah, but you don't have the pass to say Habibi in Israel. You're doing it. You're not supposed to be saying it.
Another piece of evidence as to why it isn't anti-Semitic.
This is racist.
If you're not Arab or
The mega white guy who used to say the NF. It's probably a bad point for him to be arguing right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Understand Arab culture at all, which is a lot of Americans, and Ethan Klein presents you this tier list and calls it anti-Semitic, you're just gonna eat it up. It's not. Ethan is just proving his location on this tier list under Love Sabra because he doesn't understand Arab culture. There's a lot of Arabs who eat Sabra. There's a lot of people like me who eat Sabra. A lot of the times it's all that's in the store, and I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna eat it, but it is not the good shit. Like the average Arab American, they're gonna go in the store and the only option they have is fucking Sabra. And that sucks that that's the only option, right? Arab communities and distribution facilities are not widespread across the US. So what are they left with? They're left with a common, relatable, shitty hummus, which is Sabra. And what's so...
And that's the point. That's why Love Sabra is the insult. Because it's a Jewish company. Because it's a Jewish-owned hummus. That's why it's the red tier. It's the bottom tier. Because it's the dog whistle for Jewish.
So fucking pathetic about this whole thing is after he was able to get these Arab creators banned off of Twitch for 30 days, he goes on to talk about how bad Sabra hummus is on his show.
I don't think anybody prefers Sabra over homemade, like, restaurant quality hummus. You know, it's what's there.
Like weirdly fluffy.
It is
Sabra.
fluffy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I would buy it sometimes and eat it. It's not the best.
The problem is with Sabra, in my opinion, it's only good for the first 2 days.
For some reason, like, when you eat this Sabra shit, it just feels so much heavier. Imagine eating a whole fucking vat.
Yeah, he didn't petition to get these people banned because they hate Sabra. They petitioned that he was upset because they were using Sabra as a dog whistle for Jewish person in the most blatantly obvious sense. It wasn't hidden. They didn't even think about it. When Ethan came up during the ranking, they pull up his face, which they were using for like their indicators, and they go, "Well, we know where this is going," and it was straight to Sabra. It's not because he looks like someone who would eat Sabra, a less superior hummus. It's because he's Jewish.
Of Sabra, that's crazy.
Yeah. I've never liked hummus.
Oh, okay.
Well, you hate Jews then.
I don't.
And Arabs.
Yeah.
This is racist.
Yeah, it's almost like you can have a discussion about Sabra hummus being a bad hummus without it being at all related to a Jewish thing or an Israeli thing. He can have that discussion as much as he wants on his podcast because we all know his intentions aren't anti-Semitic.
This is what he did. He hit his heart hard.
Uh-huh.
The Zionism is leading to not accepting other cultures, embracing their own culture, and instead thinking that that is an attack on you. There's this incident on the podcast where they were reacting to Cutie Cinderella, and Ethan was laughing during it. So that ended up being a pretty important wake-up call for Ethan. He made an apology video directed at Cutie Cinderella, and it was graded by a professional psychologist, Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle. And Ethan...
Dude, this part is so psychotic. To take somebody's apology video, which was widely recognized as a genuine apology, and coming from someone who is remorseful in a true sense, and to use that as a teardown of their character is insane.
Got an A+ rating.
In terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating.
You know, he rated my apology to Cutie Cinderella a perfect score, a perfect 10.
A perfect 10 out of 10?
Literally 10 out of 10. Go back. I can teach you how to make a good apology. I'm the best at
10 out of 10.
I know what a perfect apology is, lady. You fucking don't. Is my perfect apology in this PowerPoint?
Dude, I got...
Sure, it's not like... It's kind of weird to use that as a point of pride that you were good at apologizing, but it it doesn't mean he's not remorseful. It means that he was a genuine. He was genuine in that apology, and that it was heartfelt, and that it was recognized as being heartfelt. Just because he's flexing about it later, because the situation is over and it's blown over, and his apology was accepted, so it's lightened the severity of it, doesn't make it less good because of that.
Perfect 10 out of 10.
This one is actually best apology, so.
Ethan Klein, you guys, oh my god.
I was trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video. Like, could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And I don't know if this came from a good place or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went to visit psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying, and you know, we might learn it.
Yeah, that'll show him. That'll make him really regret this. You know what? He's been a bad boy, and he didn't mean his apology.
A thing or two.
Xander! Probably get pretty low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10. I said, hey, Lud, no wig drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, iDubbbz, I hear you.
This is awesome. I love this, where he's just completely shut down for his wanting of an own.
You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person, and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens.
It is so funny that his deep need for an own right here completely backfired with actual empathy and somebody who genuinely does just want to see Ethan happy and content with what he's doing.
I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, Kirk did not change his grade, but that's okay.
God, why put this in the video if you just lose? You lost. Your point was invalidated by the person who you needed validation from
because
in that
it's
clip.
The internet, anyone can have their own official apology rating system. So I'm going to rate Ethan's apology a B-. That's just based on my own feelings and my own rubric. When Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan,
Ian, I rate your apology for saying NF a C because you didn't mean it. You just changed because it was beneficial.
he said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit because I'm like, what are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs. I think something that's...
Ian and his silver tooth and CTE from fighting because his girlfriend put him in the ring is definitely showing right here, where he's just, it's over for him. It's just violence time because he's lost. Because he even knows this video is sloppily put together piece of shit that doesn't prove anything and is only serving to bolster his status among the deranged people that it is pointed towards.
It's very important to me in bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops that I think should have been and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret. Ethan deserves all of the criticism.
Got to bring up regretting the old Content Cops just for the one time's sake.
I think it's
the things that everyone on the internet hailed him for and loved him for. He's gotta bend the knee and say that he really is a sad boy who regrets it.
Very valid. But I also think at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human because he is human. And he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. In the spirit of Kirk saying that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug, I have challenged some of his most powerful haters to put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him, because I think he deserves it.
I just wanted to say,
Just say it. Let's get all these people who've done nothing but harass him and be shitty towards him, and let's get them to say sarcastic, nice things about him. Yeah,
that
that's a
I
fucking.
respect
You know what? That'll make him have a change of
that
heart.
you are genuinely yourself on the internet. I think a lot of other people respect you for it as well. I think that's a big reason why people were drawn to your content in the first place. I think that's a lot of the reason why your employees chose to work with you over anyone else.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview. I know it's not easy.
Ethan Klein, I think that when you are being goofy, when you're being silly, when you are being lighthearted, and just having fun with your friends.
Keep being the funny man, Jester. Keep being the funny man. Stop trying to talk about shit that I like. Stop saying things that are not what I think.
I think that is when you're at your best. So I'd love to see more of that. That'd be sick.
I will be reading my letter off because I don't want to sound robotic. H3 used to be the sports for good that I used to watch. I hope that one day gets back to what I remember. You were one of the inspirations for me to start creating content, so all this has stung. I hope you really hear this, and I wish you the best.
That's literally the letter that somebody would write out and read in rehab or at an intervention. You know, you were my best friend, but ever since you started being mean to Hassan, you're just not the same person. I miss my friend. I miss my friend.
I think Ethan Klein rocks a buzz cut pretty good, and I think he's got a good choice of facial hair. I think it's really cool what he did 8 years ago, fighting that frivolous lawsuit. That was pretty fucked up, and fighting it, you know, he changed YouTube for the better, and I thought that was cool because I thought it was like he was fighting for free speech.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be a couple online.
He has to cry on camera because he's a sensitive boy now. He's a sensitive boy who fights and gets his head knocked in and is kind of dumber now because of it, but he cries. He's boys who cry from SpongeBob.
And see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
And I have been kind of slipping into a very unhealthy place where it's gotten worse and worse, and I get criticized more and more, and I get more defensive and more pulled up, a feeling of almost infallibility that I could take anything on. It led me to make a lot of mistakes, and then when I was criticized for those mistakes, then I would act extremely defensive and nasty and not really processing them in a healthy way.
God damn. Well, that's all I got.
Here's the thing.
This has been awesome. All right.